welcome back to my channel. It has been a hot minute since we've been here. It's like a little over a year. And a lot of things have changed. My background was going to change, but the fairy lights are very distracting. So that's what this mess of wires behind me is it is unhooked and it's just lying on the bed and I'm sitting on it, which might be bad for it, I'm not sure. Wow. This reminds me of that awkward moment when people are like, hey, how are you? And you haven't seen them in a long time and it's like, good? Because I always want to think about it and give a genuine answer. But it's like, there's too much time to cover. What do you say? Like, first you have to take some time to gauge, do they actually mean, how are you? Or do they want you to just say, fine, and then like move on? Or like, do they actually want to hear about it? If so, what should you talk about? Which important event in your life do you pick? Unless it's something obvious like, yeah, I'm doing good, I finished school, or like, yeah, I got married, or like, yeah, I have a kid now, or like stuff like that, which I have not done any of those things yet. Or if it's like, someone's like, how was your week been? And I'm like, I don't even remember what I did in the week. Or it's the same thing of like the long time span, I'm like, I don't even know what happened, or there's too much, I don't know how to say it. Do I say something good? Do I say something bad? Do they mean how am I in this exact moment? Do they mean like what was the worst thing that's happened to you and like have you recovered from it? Do they want to know how I feel in this moment or like what it's been like recently? Because I feel like it all averages out to good. Either way, so good maybe is a good answer. I don't know. Conversation is confusing. Life is confusing. I don't know what people want from me. But yeah, so I'm almost done with college now. And I got promoted at my job. Which, those are the two things that were getting in the way of me doing this channel. Was like, I just didn't have enough time. I have like 1.5 more semesters before I get my degree. And yeah, moved up in my job. So now I'm like a hundredaire. And I haven't bought my cardboard box yet, but we're working on that dream. I am getting married. You probably can't see that, but I promise that it's there. And I washed my hair. Yeah, just the once. So, feel like I'm doing great at life right now. Honestly, I guess it was yesterday. I just randomly thought about my YouTube channel and I went back and watched some videos. Since I've become a lot more comfortable with myself, it was mostly just funny. Like, I didn't really feel awkward, which is weird because they were really awkward, but I don't know. I just thought they were interesting. And honestly, it was really sweet to remember that season of my life and be able to like hear all of my thoughts again and like what was 17-year-old Coriel's perspective on life, because she thought she had it all figured out. And like honestly, I think I had some good insights. Like that was a big season of maturity for me. God was growing me a lot. I had so much time on my hands, and so what better was there to spend it on than like him? I don't know. It was just really, really good. And it was just bringing back all these memories of that whole period of my life. I think it was really cool what I was doing. Even if nobody else likes my videos or like thinks I'm really strange, I really like having these for myself. Because, I don't know, like going back and watching stuff, even if what I said did not make sense because I'm very, very bad at articulating myself, I had some good thoughts and like I remember what I was trying to say. Oh yeah, I remember all of that. I remember what led to that thought. I remember what God was teaching me. And so like bringing it all back, and especially because God kind of takes us on a spiral. I don't know if it's a better image for like the spiral going out or the spiral going in, because like further up and further in and like deeper and like more narrowed and focused, maybe outward. I don't know. He like takes our lives in circles. The things that I'm learning, I'm like, oh man, epiphany, wow. And then I'm like, wait, I learned about this a couple of years ago and I guess I forgot. But like he keeps taking us back to different points, or like for me it's like different feelings or like different memories or like different lessons that he's taught me, and expounding on it and like deepening my understanding, deepening my connection to it, like showing me a new aspect of himself, which is really interesting because like he reveals himself in the Bible very clearly, and you read it and it's like, God's a shepherd, God's a king, this is how he feels about it, blah blah blah. Like anyone can look at it and read it, but you keep reading it your whole life and you're understanding it more, and it keeps being more real and more deep and more true to you until you suddenly connect, like, oh, God is my shepherd, like I get it now. God is my lover, now I actually understand that. And of course you never do, because you're gonna come back and be like, oh, now I understand it, and it's, no, not till heaven. Yeah, so coming back, it's interesting seeing where I was at and then like the ways God has enriched my understanding of even those lessons that I learned back then, because some of that stuff I'm like, oh yeah, I still have that same epiphany today. Like some of the stuff that I talked about then, I'm like, yeah, that's the stuff I'm still learning right now and thinking is new stuff, and it's kind of not, but my understanding of it is new. Like it's a little twist, a little bit more focused. Like the details are coming into picture, the colors are getting clearer, and it's just really interesting. Because that's one thing about me is I like to learn. I like to know that there's stuff that I don't know yet and be able to figure it out. That's the thing I love about the Christian life, is even when I think I know it all. Like, maybe I do, sort of. But it's like there's always more to learn about all of those different pieces of head knowledge that I have, which is really good because I grew up in a Christian home and it's like you know everything and you don't think that it matters, but really it does. Suddenly it becomes real and you're learning more and more and more. And so even all of these lessons that I think I've learned and I'm like, man, now I'm out of ways to grow. It's like, no, we're probably going to keep coming back to that and God's going to grow my knowledge of that. So I think it's really cool that there's always new stuff to learn and like it is always further up and further in. There's always deeper depths of his love. And I just think that's really sweet and really encouraging. Anyway, all that to say, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. But that I wanted to start this up again because I want to have my thoughts collected, at least for myself, so I can go back and see them. I'm inspiring to myself. I'm encouraging to myself. This is my journey of like where God has me and where he's brought me from. And it's really cool to me to kind of have it documented. And I can go back and watch some of my videos and be like, yeah. Like if in that moment I could say that God was faithful, I can say it now. Just remembering who God was to me then really encourages me because we know he's the same yesterday and today and forever. Remembering everything that I was learning and everything he was revealing about himself to me in one of the best seasons of my life is really encouraging because I'm like, wow, it could be like that again. And he could reveal himself to me in the same way, like he could make me feel the same way, like I could fall in love with him the same way again. My whole hope is founded on that moment of change. Like he was dead and then he was alive. And like everything changed in an instant. And so for me, that's really encouraging in my life. Even when I feel the most dead, it's like in a second, I could be on top of the world with Jesus. Like, who even knows? Like, that's happened to me. Like, there have been times when my heart was like stone cold, and then suddenly I'm like crying because I'm like, I remember you. I love you. I know you. And so, I don't know, like, he's so good. He's so good. I don't know what I'm saying except for that. Another thing was watching the old videos was helping me just think about like finding the joy and finding the beauty in every single moment of my life. Because even now, here's me saying that was like the best season of my life and the season of the most growth. And in the back of my head, I'm like, Coriel, what are you talking about? You were like genuinely depressed for one of the first times in your life that you could actually recognize. It's so weird how God mixes like the good and bad, and he's like so faithful through it all. It reminds me again of the Israelites, of they just only remembered the good things and not the bad things. There can be bad things about that, obviously. I don't know where it is. If for some reason I think that it's in Zephaniah, but it's very probably not. There's like a verse that's like, why do you say that the old days were better? And that is so true. Like God is always bringing us into something new. So even as good as I think things were back then, it's gonna be better in the future. And so it's really helpful for me to remember the good things that he's done for me and like the places that he's brought me from. These videos are kind of like me setting up those memorial stones to remember where I've been and be like, we have made that progress. These are the truths that I've learned, that I know, and I need to just remember to hold on to those and come back to that and remember that he's faithful. But I think it's also good remembering the good things and less the bad things, because that's kind of God's faithfulness to us. But it's not so that I can say, I want to go back. I want to be my 17-year-old self again. I want to have the life that I had back then. Because I really don't. I'm trying to be content where I am now, and for the most part I really am. It's just so that I can remember that God is good and remember that he has good things for me right now. If even back then, when I know in my head, it was kind of tough. But I also know, man, it was so good. Like if there were good things back then I'm excited for the good things that God has for me now. And I don't want to go back. Like I don't need it to be the same in order to be content or like to be in love with him. I understand him so much better now. And I've had so much more experience with him now. I don't want to go back and lose that progress. I know I have made progress. It's just kind of the sweetness of being able to remember his faithfulness and use that to make me more content where I am and more satisfied where I am, instead of being like, I kind of want to go back to when things were great. He's just really good. He's brought me really far. Things have happened. Things have changed. Things have gotten worse. Things have gotten better. So I'm intending to start this up again. See where it takes me. See what kind of thoughts I end up having that I would like to share for some reason. I'm gonna be coming back and watching these. This is just my way of pulling out and pinpointing the beauty in my life and remembering what's good and true and pure and right and excellent and praiseworthy and of good report and all those other great things. Which, if that's all you're supposed to think about, all you get to think about is God. So these are my memorial stones to remember where I've been, remember where I'm going, and remember that it's all about him. But yeah, so here I am. Here we are. I'm gonna try to actually be good about this now. But yeah, I'm just glad to be back. Glad to be able to record my thoughts for myself so I can be encouraged and everyone else can keep thinking I'm crazy. That's okay. I don't care. Anyways, thanks for watching and goodbye until more interesting things happen.